back with another review for the Keanu-thon, and today I'll be talking about reviewing the 1996 film Filling Minnesota, which stars Keanu Reeves. You also have Vincent D'Onofrio in the film, Cameron Diaz, Delroy Lindo, Dan Aykroyd, so good cast. And I will admit, I like the film. I understand it's not going to be a classic. It's not going to be Keanu's best. It gets a 5.4 on IMDb, and the consensus is that people don't like the film or they think it's okay or meh. But again, I like the movie. It's a dark comedy, and the story here is you have this character Freddie, who is played by Cameron Diaz. She's a former stripper. Marion Sam, who is played by Vincent D'Onofrio, and he has to repay a debt to this nightclub owner, Red, who's played by Delroy Lindo. Um, but soon enough, Freddie falls in love with Keanu's character, Jax, which they make fun of in the film because how they mentioned how his character's name was going to be Jack, but they misspelled it on his birth certificate, so it's spelled Jjaks, Jax. And like I said, he's the brother of Vincent D'Onofrio in the film. And long story short, Keanu and Cameron Diaz, they run off together. And, Vincent D'Onofrio finds out where they've been hiding. And this is where tension starts to boil between the two brothers over Cameron Diaz and this dark comedy. And yeah, like I said, that's kind of the plot in a nutshell. Written and directed by Steve Baigelman. And this is the only film he's directed. When it came out, I could not find a budget for the film, but it said it made $3 million in the box office. And Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up, but, getting into the film itself, again, I understand it's not going to be, let me get that out of the way for a second. Okay. Again, I understand it's not going to be a classic, when it comes to Keanu's filmography. Keanu has certainly done, better movies. I get that. I don't know what this has on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me check. I'm just curious now. %14 on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, it's not liked on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's Rotten Tomatoes. And again, I think it gets like a 5.4 on IMDb. But, again, I was mentioning the cast. Again, Keanu Reeves plays his character Jax, and he's an ex-convict. And, I thought Keanu was good in the film. Some funny moments with the character. So I like Keanu Reeves. Vincent D'Onofrio, this guy, he was in Full Metal Jacket. He was in Men in Black. And he's the brother. And, his character, he's a crook, a crook in the film. And, he's a lot, throughout the film, Vincent D'Onofrio's character is drunk, or what's funny is that he gets beat up a lot in the film, either by his brother, Keanu Reeves, his character Jax, or you have a couple of scenes between Vincent D'Onofrio and Delroy Lindo, because there's always someone with a truck. But, Delroy Lindo is this nightclub owner or some person where Vincent D'Onofrio owes him money, so there's a couple of scenes where Delroy Lindo beats up Vincent D'Onofrio, so it seems like a lot throughout the film, Vincent D'Onofrio's character is getting beat up, or he's, out of his mind, drunk. But I liked him in the film, and I thought him and Keanu Reeves had, fun back and forth, and especially the one scene where they're laying on the road and, throwing rocks at each other. I thought that was a fun little moment. You also have Cameron Diaz in the film as his character Freddie, and I liked her character. Cameron Diaz is one of those actresses that I wish she would do more today, and apparently, from what I understand, she's retired and, taking care of her family, and more power to her. But I've always been a fan of Cameron Diaz from The Mask and Charlie's Angels. and she was good here as his character Freddy. And she was hot. I mean, Cameron Diaz, she was hot back in the day, and she still looks good today. So, I liked her character in the film. Dan Aykroyd is this cop in the film. He's sort of inept, and he's not real serious. And then by the end of the film, he gets involved where, okay, in the middle of the film, this is where it kind of gets a little bit dark. Like, and spoiler alert for people who haven't seen the film. If you haven't seen the film, I would say skip this review. But Vincent D'Onofrio thinks he kills Cameron Diaz because again, he's out of it in his mind and drunk, and he thinks that he killed Cameron Diaz and tries to pin it on Keanu Reeves and frames him. And again, this is around the middle of the film, but Keanu has to get rid of the body, so he takes her out to the woods, and when they come back later, with Dan Aykroyd's character as his cop, she's gone. They don't know what happened, and Keanu doesn't know what happened. Vincent D'Onofrio doesn't know what happened to Cameron Diaz, and then by the end of the film, she comes back because she didn't die. She got picked up and taken care of. And that's when sort of the tables turn on Vincent D'Onofrio's character. And again, Dan Aykroyd, he kind of gets involved where, again, he's this cop that he's not real serious. He's sort of inept, and, he helps out Keanu a little bit about, with his brother, and he ends up getting arrested in the end. And again, it's a dark comedy, so it kind of goes in certain places like that, where Dan Aykroyd's not really a clean cop. But again, just a good cast here. And I think Courtney Love is in the film. She's this waitress. So good cast. The humor, the humor can be fun. And again, it's a dark comedy. Is it like the greatest? It's not the greatest comedy in the world. I mean, there's definitely more films that I love more that are classics. Okay, if you talk about Keanu, of course I prefer the Bill and Ted movies over this. I mean, what else? I mean, The Replacements, of course. So, even in regards to comedy, Keanu's done better. And, some of these actors, they've done better films and better works. But I thought overall with the cast, they did a fine job. Solid job. The director, my nose is itching. Steven Baigelman, and again, this is the only film he's directed. I thought he did a decent job directing. And I liked how, this town, how it all takes place in this town, and it doesn't really go outside of this little town. So it has that sort of, that in-town type of feel to it. And, okay, lunch is ready. I'll be there in a second. But like I said, like they keep the film within this town, and I like that. I don't know where it was filmed, in Wisconsin maybe? Just taking a guess here. Or not Wisconsin, Minnesota. It's not Filling, Wisconsin, it's Filling, Minnesota. I was just curious where they filmed the movie. Let me see, go on IMDb here. But, I mean, again, it's a good looking movie. Well, as far as like where they shot the film, good locations, good soundtrack, some good songs on the soundtrack. The film opens up with a, Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. So nice little songs throughout the film. Hour and a half, film's hour and a half, and it moved at a good pace. And so yeah, I mean, again, it's not going to be a comedy classic. It's not going to be Keanu's best or the best from any of these actors, but I think Philly, Minnesota, I think it's a fun little movie, and it has a certain charm to it. And again, it gets dark around the middle of the film. I thought, okay, it's gonna go this way, like it's going full dark, and then by the end, it has a sweet ending. So yeah, and that's the thing with the film. Like I thought it was gonna go this way, and then, but it didn't go that way, and it ended on a sweet note. So yeah, and some nice humor in there, either between Keanu and his brother Vincent D'Onofrio, or Dan Aykroyd's character. But yeah, Filling Minnesota, I like the film, and I will admit that. I'm not afraid of saying that. I don't, and again, I don't think it deserves a 5.4 on IMDb, but that's just me. I mean, this is better than Prince of Pennsylvania, but that was a comedy that wasn't even funny. So yeah, Philly, Minnesota, again, good comedy. So I liked it. But that's my review of that. And next up, I'll be reviewing The Devil's Advocate. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you later.